So Ben, lovely to see you, mate. Thanks for coming down to Brighton. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure of mine, mate.
We met at the event in London
We
just
did.
a few weeks back for the first time.
Yep.
You was introduced to me as Ben Bravo, or
Yep.
Bravo Ben.
Bravo.
Which way round is it?
Well, it's Ben. Ben Close obviously is my name, but Bravo's his alias name. The reason that came about was obviously Johnny Bravo, No, but it was my alias name for Ben, and then it's Bravo Charlie whilst I was abroad working.
So we're going to go. I want to take you. I know you've got a big story to tell us today, and it might be at times difficult, but we've been speaking quite a bit. I'm hoping that you're relaxed today, and that I'm going to get the best out. We're going to get the best out of each other, Ben. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Take us back to where this all started for you. Just briefly, as a child, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and where you was born, where you come from.
So I was born in Welling Garden City, 1985. My parents split up before I can remember. But then moving forward from that, my mum met another narcissistic partner who she fathered two children with. And that's obviously my brother and sister. So we spent a lot of time in Corby, from Corby, was raised in Corby, Kettering and Luton, in between the three of them. From a young age, I was like 5 years old when they first met. That's when I can think back to. And from then, it was just abuse to my mother.
What from your mum or from your stepdad?
No, he's not my stepdad. You know what? I'd never class him as that.
Yeah.
He's a bully, a narcissistic bully, woman beater. He hurt, you know what I mean? He physically hurt my brother and my sister as well. He hurt my mother. There's things I'll go on to later. When I was getting older, I had to hear, witness in the bedroom as well. So,
is there any of that you want to take us through, or is it something that you'd rather avoid?
No, look, do you know what? Obviously, my first book, When War Follows You Home, which is here, isn't just about military. I am trying to use my unfortunate. When I say unfortunate, it wasn't all bad. I had great grandparents and a great mother. Unfortunately, my mum was manipulated by somebody else. So the problem was what happened at home. So that's why when war follows you home. But does it have to be at home? Does it have to be at war? War can start from home, or the desert, or in a car crash.
Yeah.
Or anything, any traumatic event, and then it stays with you the rest of your life. So things that I was witnessing as a child, main things was just, it got worse and worse and worse. He'd never touched me, but he was physical towards my mum. At times I felt like it was my fault, and actually, unfortunately, even up till today, I still feel like people blame me, even though I know it's not my fault. But like I say...
Do you blame yourself, Ben?
No, I don't. You know what? Unfortunately, I love my mum. I absolutely love her, and if she watches this, Mum, I do love you. We're very two different people. But the relationship's not there the way it should be. And I don't know why. The first interview I did with Richard Inman, obviously, she watched that and she poured her heart out to me for the first time, saying how sorry she was and everything. And I said to her, look, you're a victim anyway. For some reason, it's gone a bit south again, between us both. I don't know why. But anyway, what I'm trying to do is, like I say, this book and my journey and these podcasts, it's not just about me, the war. I'm trying to use my experiences as a child, as a soldier, being made homeless from the army, then as a private contractor, mercenary, post-traumatic stress disorder, in a way to move forward. That's my main journey in life now. It was in 2021, I decided enough's enough. My 7-year-old son, I've missed out on his life out because I was out in Yemen and Iraq and other places as a private contractor. I was losing far too many friends from suicide, which I tried myself as well, and thankfully failed. And why did I fail? Maybe there's someone up there is keeping me alive for this journey, for this pathway, in order to help other people. So yeah, obviously at the moment, I sat 2 years off work, put my savings and everything into this book, When More Polish Home, which will follow on to another book, which will be even more, as hard hitting, if not more, than the first one. The books that I sell at the moment are just going towards the second one. It's not a get-rich scheme. I took time out, I've actually lost them.
Benny, can I just say, even if it was a get-rich-quick scheme,
Yeah.
I think after what you've done in your life, no one would deny you that. But I want to just go back to something. When I first met you in London,
Yeah.
I can't even remember actually who introduced us. I think it might have been Richard.
Yeah, it was Richard, yeah.
But I shook your hand and we greeted each other, and I immediately felt something from you. And I felt two things from you. I felt a really warm person that has a lot of good in their heart, but I also felt a very troubled soul, someone that has been through a hell of a lot in their lives. It's like everyone's got two eyes, right? But it's like you were looking at me with one eye with compassion and all the nice things in life, but the other eye was kind of like a demon. It was like you've got demons and troubles and things in your mind. Would that be an accurate description? Do you recognise that?
Yeah, I mean, you're not the first person to say that. You know what I mean? It's literally, I'm there for everybody else, and unfortunately, there's not that many people there for me.
Yeah.
I'm the one that, friends, family, in fact, family, a lot of the time, only come to me when they need something or some support. A lot of friends as well. I'm always the go-to person, and I bottle everything up myself, and then deal with other people's problems. Speak to them, like this first book, and the podcasts. The amount of people that I get message me on a daily basis, Facebook message, telling me how much it's hard hit them, because of either child upbringings, military, even public service members that have witnessed some sort of traumatic event, and they've identified my problems through what I've wrote about myself, and they can see it in themselves or a partner. So yeah.
We're going to talk about some of those dramatic events a little bit later on, but so finishing up on your childhood, you would say that is where problems started for you. How old was you when would you say you was 5, 6, a bit older?
I actually remember the very first day that I met this man called Andrew, who's mentally now a counsellor in Nottingham. How that works, I'm not too sure. But because of the things that he'd done and was arrested for. But I won't go into that too much because it's another story.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, when I look back now, then it definitely started as childhood. Definitely started as childhood.
What about your teenage years? What were they like?
Well, my teenage years were.
Was you a naughty boy?
Of course I was. But I was a naughty boy. I liked my boxing, but then girls came along. But the problem was during my teenage years, I was still having to deal with things at home. This didn't stop till about the age of 15. So this domestic violence kept happening. So whilst I was at school, I'm heavily dyslexic as well. So I was obviously troubled. I couldn't do very well at school. Couldn't read and write very well. Back then, dyslexia wasn't really a thing that.
Wasn't even really recognised.
No, it wasn't. I was just somebody that. Thing is, because you're struggling reading and writing, rather than identify that, you just act the clown and get kicked out of class as a naughty child. But then in the background, I had all this domestic violence going on that I was going home to every day. So I was going home and doing room clearances. And when I say room clearances, like I used to hide weapons and go home and make sure this bloke wasn't there. Like to hurt my mum by the time I got home. Sometimes he was there. Sometimes I'd take my mates home for a beer during school hours as a bit of backup. They didn't know it was for backup, but I was just taking people round and going through every room, just making sure he weren't there. Like I say, sometimes he was there. He'd be there, just silent, playing the guitar, waiting for mum to get back to abuse her. So yeah, then I had to deal with school as well.
Had you been in trouble with the police by this time?
The police had been round. The police were round on a weekly basis. They weren't very good.
For you or for your family
No,
in general?
my mum would ring the police.
Yeah.
They'd come round for this man, but he always seemed to get away with things. You know, very long time ago, he shook my sister. She had brain hemorrhage, which she suffers from today, and he was arrested for that. He got away with it. I don't know why, how. There was a point. It got to a point where the abuse became so bad I had to move to Luton to my nan and granddad's. And my father, he doesn't want me to go into too much about this, but we'll just put it out this way, that he'd had enough and that bloke was going to disappear. And my mum, because with all her good intents and purposes, stopped something happening, and so that's why this man is now a counsellor. Yeah. So that says a lot about my mum, someone who's been domestically abused in the bedroom, out of the bedroom, and in just, yeah, that sums it up, doesn't it?
I know you speak a lot about your granddad. Do you have fond memories of your granddad, right?
Well, and my nan. All my grandparents, to be fair, you know. I mean, something I've never said before. So my Luton parents, the book, A Morphology Home, is dedicated to my granddad. Obviously, I love my nan as well. I've got my mum's side of the family, still one of them, my gran, she's still alive. She's in her 80s, she's doing really well. My granddad passed away a few years ago with cancer. Before that, though, I had a great-grandma as well, who I've never mentioned. She was born in 1914 and passed away in 2014. And something I've never mentioned before, which is quite heartfelt. I don't know how people will take this. There was nothing for wealth. She was an old age pensioner, worked all of her life, wanted for nothing, would give you her last pound. You know, she loved me. She never judged me. One person that never, she was one of the only women. She was one of the only people that never judged me. Because I did get in trouble as a teenager, and you know, I was in the army and etc. etc. I used to go and visit her in a care home a lot. While she was, you know, getting a lot older, 99, and I went to visit her on Christmas Day, 2013, and I was with the mother of my son at the time, and I went in to see her Christmas Day, and no one had gone to see her because obviously you have to sign in,
yeah,
which really upset me, really upset me. Like, it's Christmas Day, you know, and on that particular Christmas Day, I hadn't been invited to any family meals either. So I was pretty much on my own on the Christmas Day. So I thought I'll go see my great-grandma. And on that day, she was on morphine, she was sore, she was hurting, and she basically said to me, I'm ready to go. I want to go to see Alec, which was her husband. And I looked at her, I said, Grandma, are you sure? Are you really, really sure? She had nothing to offer me apart from love, yeah? That's all she ever gave me was love. It was pure love. And she said, yeah. And so I gave her a cuddle, and she held my hand, and I had her in my chest. I told the mother of my son, I said, just, can you leave the room for a little while? And like, I don't know how people take this, but it's the truth. I had my grandma, tears running down my eyes. She was crying, but she held my hand, and I had her next to my chest. And I was going to put her out of misery because all she was doing was being filled with morphine. She was urinating uncontrollably. She was in pain. Poor woman was in absolute pain. You know what I mean? She was 99 years of age, and I just wanted her to be out of pain, pure out of pain, rightly or wrongly, and I had hold of her for not long, because like the mother of my son came back in the room and said, "Mate, you can't do this. You'll be arrested and you'll be convicted." So, which I think was the right call, to be honest, looking back, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't going to gain millions of pounds. I wasn't going to gain anything except sadness. But I was doing it out of love. She asked me to do it. So I let go of her. I said, "Grandma, I can't." Give her a kiss, you know, crying Christmas Day. And so, yeah. But then a week later, she passed away in my hands anyway. Was at the care home and she passed away. So that was that. So I'm glad I didn't do that. But I would have done it out of pure love, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've mentioned that. And it's sad it's sad to say, it's sad to think about it, but it's true, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know.
How big a role do you think your grandparents played in your upbringing? It seems to me that it was probably, you know, a really important role in your life.
They were my lifeline, because if it weren't for my grandparents, I wouldn't have had holidays. I would have been subject constantly to the domestic abuse going on. My granddad was basically my dad, and yeah, if no grandparents, to me, I wouldn't have really had a life. You know what I mean?
How did their passing affect you?
Destroyed me, absolutely destroyed me. So the first one was my granddad, and I remember being told he had cancer, and I thought my whole world had collapsed. And the last day that I went to see him, he was in bed in Mossbank Avenue in Luton, and went over, seen him, give him a cuddle, and he couldn't move. Like he was on his last legs, literally. And the last thing I just said, I promise I'll join the army and try and make you proud. I will make you proud. And he stuck his thumb up at me. I stuck my thumb up at him. Oh, fucking hell, man. I walked out of the room, floods of tears, and he passed away a few hours later. And that was the end of the world for me. I just didn't know what to do, especially when I failed my first army selection. I felt I'd let him down on his deathbed, yeah. And then my nan, his wife Joyce, when she passed away, I was out on a floating armory in Sudan on operations as a private contractor, and I got a Facebook message saying, "Your nan's dead." I was like, what? And I thought this is a sick joke, yeah, you know. And it wasn't a sick joke. So
that's how you learnt about your nan dying?
Yeah, I was on a floating armory, which is basically, if people don't know what a floating armory is, it's a holding vessel in high risk areas where you wait for another job to go and do anti-piracy with firearms, where you hold the firearms. So I then had to get back for the funeral, and I couldn't let my emotions out because I was with I had a team of men. You know what? It was. I was near on break. I think I was near on a breakdown, an actual breakdown, because I was trying to get home. I had 10 days or something to get back, and I'm in the middle of the ocean, and these companies aren't going to fly me home on a helicopter. You know?
Yeah.
Just to them, I'm just a number, aren't I? So I struggled to get back, and every day I managed to get a vessel. And I can't believe this company done this. The company don't exist anymore anyway. They've been dissolved. But even though I was going through that, the company still put me as a team leader through a high-risk piracy area to command the team in order to get back for the funeral, even though I was in such a state.
Yeah.
And every day, because the ocean was changing, the knots were changing on the boat. One day I'd get back on this day, the next day it'd be hours later. But I think maybe God, I don't know. You know, I got back to Sri Lanka, and I made the funeral by 3 hours. I actually made it and managed to carry my nan's coffin. Yeah.
Let's move forward to your army days. I mean, obviously, you know, we could probably, to be honest, we could probably sit here and talk for a week because it's such an interesting story. But let's move forward to your army days. You failed your first selection, you say?
Yeah, I went to Hospital at 16. Like literally not long after my granddad had passed. Well, I wanted to go and be a boy soldier. Got through that. That's all I wanted to do through school. Wasn't, like I said, couldn't read or write very well. Just wanted to go and join the army. Wasn't interested in having a trade. Just wanted to get out there, be a combat soldier. Essentially, just go to war. Why? Probably because I was so angry from what happened in childhood.
Yeah.
But I just what I wanted to do. Just wanted to go out and do that. And I failed on a technicality of having asthma when I was a child. And that was, I felt gutted because I just failed selection. But I felt even more saddened that I'd not fulfilled the promise to my granddad because I promised him that I'd join the army. What do I do now? So, but I fought it, I joined the TA because back then it was two different systems. I was going to join the Foreign Legion as soon as I hit 18. But my mother put in an application form as an appeal. So before I joined the Foreign Legion, I got one more chance at the army at 18 and went and passed. So, yeah.
Which regiment was this?
Coldstream Guards.
Coldstream Guards.
Yeah.
How old was you then?
18.
18. So how long was you in the Guards before you went off into action?
I joined in 2003. That sounds a long ago now, doesn't it? The Coldstream Guards, I joined for training in 2003. 6 months training, got to the battalion, and I was out in Iraq in 2005.
So basically 2 years in between you joining and being out in Iraq?
Year and a half, really.
Year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half. Because 6 months training.
What was that training like? Hard?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, you know what?
It's in the book.
It's all in this.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people say, like, even people that joined the army 50 years ago have said, I can identify to that.
Yeah.
That has brought back so many memories. So that's, the training part's all in this first book.
Before we get into what happened to you whilst you was in the army and your experiences that you had, on a scale of 0 to 10,
yeah,
before you went to Iraq, how, I don't know what the right word is, disturbed, damaged do you feel that your mind was before you got to war?
I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. And I didn't for a long time.
But looking back, would you say you was 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 9 out of 10? What would
really
you
good
say?
question, Paul. Because no one's ever asked me that. Looking back now at 39, I'll probably have to say, probably a 6 out of 10, which is a lot really, 18.
Yeah, it is high, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you came out, what would you say you was when you came out?
20.
20 out of 10.
You know,
right.
suicidal, so,
Yeah,
you know.
as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
So moving forward ahead, you're now in Iraq.
Yeah.
You are 18 years old.
19, 20 when I went to Iraq, yeah.
19 years old, so just a teenager.
Yeah.
What's your first memory of being out there and thinking, shit, this is real?
Getting off the plane. So I went out there with green kit. I actually had to buy my own kit to go out. I had to buy some of my own kit to go there. Which, looking back, is
Disgraceful.
Yeah. I was on a course, so I went a week later than the regiment did. I went in green kit, not deserts. I had nothing. So my dad took me to an Army Navy shop in Luton and spent a few £100 on gear. So I had some.
What sort of gear did you need that the army wasn't supplying?
Proper like assault vest. You know, just things, just I'd like water bottles. I didn't know what I was getting when I got there because I was just going in green kit. So just comfort, just things that you need, just things that you need, you know.
And did they supply that when you got out there, or was it not on offer?
If you could get hold of it, you could get hold of it. If you couldn't get hold of it, so it wasn't on offer. It was, some people had it, some people would pass on, you know, like when the other regiments leave, they'd have a bit of kit. It's like, oh, we'll have your kit. But no, so to answer your question, no, a lot of the kit that you needed wasn't supplied.
How does that make you feel?
Pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure it's better now, but it's took people like myself to come up and identify these problems in order for them to actually move forward in life.
And I think people watching this, I mean, I'm sitting here now and I can feel myself getting hot that our government sent you lads to fight a war without the proper equipment. It's just beyond.
Do you know what, Paul? When I come home from Iraq, when I got home, I had like £600 in the bank. I didn't get any bonuses. I had no tax bonuses. Didn't have any danger pay out in Iraq. Blokes getting blown up. As a teenager and then a 20-year-old, we didn't get any. I know they do now. They do operational bonuses, but out there was, literally the only money that you had if you didn't have outgoings is what you'd save. I think the LSSA or LSA, what it's called, you're on like an extra £6-7 a day out in Basra with mortars coming in on a daily basis, IEDs going off, people dying, people being like really hurt. But not only that, what was going on up here.
Was you prepared? When you got there, was you prepared for the level of violence that you was going to witness?
I don't think anyone can prepare you for that. You can go for as much training as you like. Until you get off that plane and you smell the death and you see the death, you see the destruction, you grow up very quickly. And if you don't, you know, essentially you might not come home.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
What's the first thing that you witnessed that you would say was, what was your first encounter with death or violence, or the first bad thing that you witnessed?
You know, the first time I got off the plane, it just smelled different. The atmospherics were different. Just getting off that plane, I mean, when you came in, you had to descend so quickly. You had to wear your body armour and your helmet, which, by the way, I didn't even have proper body armour when I went to Iraq. So essentially, I didn't have any plates or anything, which was an SOP, standard operating procedure, but I didn't have it. I wasn't provided it. So I had the wrong equipment even descending into Iraq, body armour wise. I mean, violence wise, I got to we had mortar attacks on the RSOI package, which is basically you're customised to the heat and go on a range, stuff like that. It didn't really bother me though, to be honest. And then when I got to the Chateau Arab Hotel, it didn't particularly bother me. I don't know why. I think I'd mentally prepared myself to go out there and fight, and actually, sadly, I didn't care if I come home or not either, which I think gave me an advantage over if you don't care if you don't care whether you come home or not.
You're a pretty formidable opponent, right?
Yeah.
What was your first encounter with the enemy?
First encounter was well, everything's in this first book. Everything about Iraq is in this first one. There was a checkpoint. We got contacted. I think it was by the police, but a vehicle came past. Loads of machine guns were going off. Rounds coming over.
So let's just set the scene a bit better. You're at a checkpoint.
Yeah, we set up a VCP, a vehicle checkpoint.
Yeah.
And it was at night time. And a vehicle.
So it's dark or
yeah, it was dark. Yeah, it was
It's
dark. It was
right.
dark. Thing is with Basra, it was so built up, so urban, and you're in the same area all the time, and the atmospherics are different. And yeah, a vehicle came down, I didn't see the vehicle, just hear it, and just gunfire going on. Everyone just took cover behind whatever they could get behind.
So they're shooting at you, right?
Yeah. Apparently they were shooting at the vehicle, like, but yeah, no one returned rounds then. No one knew who was firing, and all of a sudden the Iraqi police were there, and it's like they were so corrupt out there anyway. But that was the first one, and it was like, right, that's what it feels like to get shot at. Bit of a buzz, like taking some sort of drug, to be honest, because the endorphin hits you, and you're like, wow, like, yeah, you know. But then obviously the main incidents out there was when I had to use lethal force against what I thought was an enemy coming towards me in the Sanger.
So explain that situation. What happened there?
So I was on the Sanger, and a vehicle came down. We'd been warned off that press were coming on that particular day, that week. So a vehicle came down, didn't stop, fired a warning shot. This particular vehicle did stop. It was red. So I remember this like it was yesterday, and it was in 2005. So that was that. And half an hour later, a vehicle came down, flatbed truck. I couldn't believe it. I was with somebody else in the Sanger. This was daytime, around the midday sort of time, hot, sweaty, helmets on, rifles loaded. Came past the same checkpoint where it says, don't come past here, lethal force may be used. Warning shot was fired. The vehicle sped up.
You fired the warning shot?
I fired the warning shot again.
Yeah.
The vehicle sped up. We're talking 15 metres maybe between me and them. So I had that split second to decide what to do. So
you can see the driver?
I can see the driver. There's three occupants in the vehicle. So I used aim shots at the driver's head. Vehicle came to an immediate stop. I jumped down waiting for an explosion with the other guy in the Sanger. There was no explosion. I was just thinking, what's going on? Obviously the QRF ran out to see what was going on. I stood up, in essence ready to shoot the other two, but they were on the floor. And I got took off guard duty straight away. I was doing an interview with the military police. I actually got a recommendation for my actions there because I followed the Card Alpha, the rules of engagement, to the letter of the law. I'm not saying only me would have done that, but certain people may not have been prepared enough to make that decision. And had I not have done that, that person may have had a bomb in his car and people would have died.
Yeah.
Turns out we didn't have a bomb.
What was that? Do we know who they were? Eventually, did you find out who they were?
Apparently, from a debrief, it was a news reporter. However, we can all sit here and go, but when you get fired a warning shot, you slow down, don't you?
You stop.
Just because, I mean, was it...
Well, first of all, you don't come past the sign.
It's in Arabic as well.
Yeah, you don't come past the sign, and then when a warning shot fired,
you slow
you
down.
don't stop, you turn around and go the other way, right?
You get out your car, don't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, look, that was back then. That's all I know. I didn't really get told.
Did you get into trouble for that?
I got a recommendation.
You got a recommendation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it, yeah.
Which was took off me because I think when you say when do I know I was disturbed, it was probably when I went home on R&R, rest and recuperation, and we, I was 1 minute I'm in Iraq, the next minute I'm in England, and there was a wire going across the road, and I thought it was an IED, improvised explosive device. Excuse me. So I was like looking around, and I'm back in England.
Yeah.
People are like, in the car, what are you doing? I was just thinking, hey, what am I doing? I got in trouble on that R&R, helping somebody else actually, but I had a flashback in a nightclub. Someone come to basically give me a good hiding in a nightclub. I had a glass in my hand, I struck out, his ear went off. The glass hit him and his ear went off. So I got arrested for that. That was the first time I was arrested, which caused a massive shit show.
This is obviously sometime later.
No, this was in between the Iraq period.
Right.
Because you go home for 2 weeks in between a tour. So 1 minute you're in an operational environment.
Yeah.
The next day you're on a plane and you're back in the UK, down the pub.
Very hard to adjust.
No, you can't, can you?
Let me just take you back for a minute, and you don't have to answer this because it's a difficult one.
Fine.
That was the first time you took someone's life.
Right.
Was it the only time?
No.
Can you remember that guy's face?
No.
What do you feel now about
What I can remember though, I didn't have enough time to see his face, but I remember the spider web that, see, I always thought shooting through a window would smash the window. But it doesn't, it
makes a hole.
makes a little hole in a little spider, that's all it does. I remember that, yes, and I know he was wearing a red jumper, like a red top, you know, I remember that. But
does it haunt you at all?
do you know what? No, I can't say it does, because in my head I've done the right thing there.
See, the way I see that, Ben, I'm not a gambling man. I don't bet on the dogs or the horses, and I wouldn't have been if I was in your position. I wouldn't have been about to put a bet on my and my mates' lives.
Exactly.
So I think there's nobody watching this right now that would say that you didn't do the right thing.
Yeah, if take me back there, I'd do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And you know, and I had to, again, in other places. So, but that's what I was trained to do. That was
Did
my
you
job.
sleep that night?
No, actually, that night all I wanted was a beer. But obviously you couldn't drink out there. So I tried to start smoking because my adrenaline was pumping so much. No one was really talking to me. It was just like, yeah, well, just done an interview with the RMPs, the military police. So I thought, what can I do what do I do now?
Yeah.
Can't go for a pint. So I bought some fags from the NAFI, the shop that we had. Tried to start smoking, just thought, should I just start smoking? But didn't like it. I had a couple of puffs, made me cough, thought, give them away. But yeah, no, I didn't sleep that night because I was back on guard that night.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had the morning. I had like 10 hours off or something, and I was back on guard duty in the same Sangers that night anyway.
Well, so moving ahead from there, what was your next? Before that, what was your mental state like at this point?
After that, I became really trigger happy. And what I mean by that is not I want to go and shoot everyone, but I just wasn't worried about getting in a firefight and having a fight. And that's what, in my head, that's what I was there for. I wasn't there to give bottles of water to the locals. There's people trying to kill us. So let's do that. You know, let's do our job, proper job. You don't really get taught how to, as an infantry soldier, you don't really get taught hearts and minds. You get told that, yeah, when you go through basic training as an infantry soldier, you don't get taught, oh, there's times where you have to be really polite, you're going to have nice people coming around you, then you can have bad people coming, so you have to make that decision which one's good and which one's bad. An infantry soldier is a soldier that's trained to kill or fight. That's basically what your job is, isn't it? That's the title of your job.
So, what was your next major incident in Iraq that sticks in your mind?
I could go on all day about one, but there was a big riot. 2 SES lads got arrested. It was well documented on Sky News. But yeah, we was involved in the Jamia riots, it was called. Now the day after the Jamia riots, there was a big convoy. There was no movement about armoured vehicles because of the threat level. All the hearts and minds had been shattered, and the creation of ISIS, I believe, was on the rise there, and everyone went against us. So we had to all go in convoys to resupply the nappies, for the food resupplies and everything.
Supplies, yeah.
Supplies to all different bases, and they needed the infantry to help them do it, i.e. us, and the Staffordshire Regiment as well, because they had the tanks. So our vehicles, the vehicles were useless. They was always breaking down. The snatch vehicles, always breaking down, and when they got blown up as well, I could tell you that it's like getting like might as well be in a mini or something. Useless. Don't even protect you from small arms fire. So anyway, our vehicle broke down, and the vehicle behind was a Warrior, went past us. And again, it's all in it. All that is in this book. This one, in more depth, obviously. Our vehicle broke down, and we basically set up a vehicle checkpoint. And the communications that we had, once again, this goes into the equipment. We couldn't get hold of anyone to tell anyone that we'd broken down. None of our equipment worked. So we had to make a decision what we're going to do. We expected this big convoy to come back and get us. It never came back to get us. So I was pulling over vehicles with a colleague and a friend. His name's Mac, actually. Spoke to him recently. And the same vehicle kept coming, because what we didn't want to do is just sit there like plums, because they're not stupid, these people. They know that one vehicle doesn't operate on its own. And we were a sitting target. And we had no medical equipment.
How many of you in this vehicle?
5.
5 of you.
It's half a multiple.
And what are you armed with?
I had an S80 EGL and the slug grenade launcher. We had an LSW, light support weapon. We had no area weapons, i.e. GPMGs or LMGs. And we had very limited first aid equipment. We had ECM, electronic countermeasures, which counteracts IEDs, which was obviously a secret thing that we had back then.
Yeah. What about your personal arms? What rifle were you carrying?
I had this 80 assault rifle with an underslung grenade launcher on it. But medical kit wise, we had first field dressing, a shot of morphine, to be honest, a tourniquet, that was it. We had no satellite phone if we got in the shit, which we did.
How heavily armed are you personally at this stage? Are you carrying a sidearm? Do you have?
I had enough ammunition. I had a bandolier. I had probably eight loaded magazines, hand grenades, HE grenades, and UGL grenades. However, that's not a lot. So that's 5 of us. That's not a lot when you're in a firefight. That doesn't last very long. If you get in a position where you can't really fast air in, there's only 5 blokes. So anyway, there was a vehicle kept coming up and down and stopping. And I made the decision we should nick the old Bauer Security story of Andy McNabb, who I met actually on did a documentary with years ago when I was discharged from the army. I just thought, let's just nick this car and get out of there, because we're vulnerable. So 3 of us got in the vehicle, the other 2 weren't too sure. So we had to go with the other 2.
So you hijacked it, did you? You hijacked it?
I plastic cuffed 2 blokes' hands and said, let's get in this car and let's do one. Because the nearest base was Shibe Logistic Base, which was, 12, 18 k away. So we wanted to go back that way, because we're not going the other way. The way you've come is a proved route, isn't it? Essentially, it's safe because you've gone through it already. So we decided not to nick the vehicle, to then go back on ourselves. But we walked, we tabbed it. So denied the snatch vehicle. I wanted to blow it up. I wanted to blow the snatch up. But I wasn't the highest ranking member there. In fact, I was a junior soldier. I'd only just joined, as you know, said before. But I just had it in my mind, like, the best things to do. I went on to be team leader, didn't I, in other hostile environments. But we basically tabbed towards Shibe Logistic Base, walked to Shibe Logistic Base in formation. We got contacted from the right-hand side, rounds going over our heads. Whether they were warning shots or whether they were aimed shots, we still hit a thud and crack. We peeled off into the desert, and we then tactically moved forward. And at that point, it had gone from being a laugh to something serious, you know what I mean? And we had to negotiate one other problem.
You'll have to excuse me smiling, but the thought of it being a laugh when...
Yeah, I know.
Unbelievable. Go on, carry on.
But yeah, it was like, what a rodeo this is, like, you know. But then when you got no one picking you up and you start running out of water and you're carrying heavy kit and you've been shot at and you have no one to ring up for backup, you are on your own. Kidnapped, shot, beheaded, whatever. Anything could have happened, you know. And bearing in mind we pulled these guys over as well and tried to nick their vehicle, who are they going to go and tell? They're going to go and tell their kids, are they? They're going to go and tell their mates who are going to be out looking for us. So it was that problem, what we're going to do. So we decided to, we had to go past the vehicle checkpoint, which was manned by the Iraqi police, which was a problem.
And you don't trust the Iraqi police, right?
One, you don't trust them. Two, what's just gone on? All they're doing is looking for 5 armed militants, aren't they, walking through the desert. So, as luck had it, we tactically went forward, like threes and twos, as you train in basic training. So we did some proper soldiering, and they were sleeping, as usual, to be fair. Luckily, they were sleeping. So we basically plastic cuffed them up, and we were going to nick their vehicle. We were going to nick their police car. However, a regiment, a multiple from One Royal Irish came the other way from the base we were heading to. And they were like, who are you guys? When we told them, they were like, fuck off, mate. Really? They didn't even know, they knew nothing about us being on our own. Oh, they were a different regiment, yes.
Yeah.
But you'd expect the word to have got about by then.
They've got around that you was missing.
We thought they were there to rescue us. They had no idea we were even missing. So they basically took us back, and their commanding officer was really impressed with us. One Royal Irish commanding officer. I'd love to track him down and thank him. But unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, that whole incident was covered up by the MOD. Well, else talk about it. It didn't happen.
So at this stage, you've been in Iraq how long?
That's probably towards the closing the play, really. So let's say 4 months into a 6-month tour.
And it's a tough question, but this is a sort of question that the viewers will fortunately or unfortunately latch onto. I asked you earlier, was that the only life that you took whilst you were serving? And you said no. Yeah,
but I did a lot of more tours than just Iraq.
So where else did you go after Iraq?
After Iraq, I was having a tough time. I couldn't adjust in civilian life or military life.
So where's your head now? On a scale of 0 to 10, it's 20.
Yeah, what war?
It's gone.
I wasn't mentally poorly like I was. Well, I was, but in a different way. I was angry.
Has the PTSD settled in yet, or is it still?
Well, I didn't know what PTSD was, did I? But you know, I was just a very angry person. I just wanted to be at war constantly. It was mental, because when we got home, apart from a few flowers laid outside the barracks, little barracks in Aldershot, for the people who didn't come back, God bless them, from our regiment, it was like we'd just been on exercise for 6 months in Salisbury Plain. It's like there was no victory parade, there was nothing. And
no appreciation.
No, it was just like, right, and your weapons in, like
off you go.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it's just like, yeah, there was nothing. Like there was no appreciation from the higher authorities. I suppose they're only governed what they can do, looking into it through what they're allowed to do through the government, isn't it? But there was.
You've not just walked through the door coming home after a day's work in the factory, had you?
Exactly.
You'd expect a little bit more recognition, a little bit more.
Everyone that there should have, yeah.
Thanks. So after Iraq, what came after?
I went to Bosnia. I volunteered to go to Bosnia over a Christmas tour. Not a lot happened out there. I got set on fire with a petrol bomb, but I was lucky. It just burned through the clothes. It was actually during a training riot exercise, but it was a big one. But yeah, a petrol bomb went down the side of my shield, set me on fire. We did a few clearance operations. Following Bosnia, I went out to Africa, attached to the Special Air Service. We was there for a month, doing live operations with them, which is a good time. And following that, I went off to Afghanistan, Helmand Province, which was a proper war.
Is that a different level to Iraq?
It was completely different, because Iraq, we didn't know who the enemy was. It was more, what are we doing here? Are we fighting insurgents? Are we supposed to be their friends? 1 minute you are their friends, the next minute they're blowing you up, you know, or driving towards you in a Sanger. At least with Afghanistan, we got there knowing we were going to fight Taliban in Helmand Province. We weren't there to give out bottles of water or maybe be shot at. You know, don't get me wrong, tours after mine, this is 2007-8 that I was in Afghanistan. So the rules of engagement for us were a lot more different to what they were to later tours. Taking nothing away from the later tours, if anything, the later tours had a harder job than us, because they were more governed to what they could.
Yeah, working under stricter regs.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have, we could pretty much meet force with force. So that was a proper war.
So when you're in Afghanistan, looking back through your military career, is there a time, what was the, two questions really, was there a time when you thought, this is it, it's over for me? And probably the same question really, but in a different way, what was your most frightening moment?
I didn't have any frightening moments out there. I started becoming quite poorly out there. I felt a change in myself. And to sum it up, I just felt depressed towards the end. Fed up. Things that were going on at home didn't help. There was things going on with someone stopped me seeing my daughter out there, using a background that just getting information on me. I got a letter in Afghanistan saying I couldn't go see my daughter because of a just briefly touched on it, because of a charge that I had on me for having a fight with a male man, and the letter got sent to the wrong address. Somebody opened that letter and used that as an excuse in order for me not to see my daughter that I'd seen and loved, and still do love, still don't see her. You know, and I had my son, my eldest son who's 21, was trying to contact me. I just had all this stuff going on. And when you said, is that it? There's one thing that really sticks to mind, and people find this crazy, and the viewers will. I had to go across open ground. I had to make open ground to go into a compound. And me and my mate basically ran over to this compound with a bit of smoke, and a machine gun opened up. So bang, 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 bang. And I was slipping over, I fell over, because it was a winter period, so there was a bit of rain, a bit of slush. So I was falling over, I was thinking, fuck this. In the end, as these machine guns are going off in our direction, I just couldn't be arsed. I just walked. I got bored of running, I had about another 10 metres to cover, and just thought, I'm walking, I can't be arsed. If I get hit, I get hit. And I think after that point, and obviously I didn't get hit, but I had an LMG light machine gun. A part was missing off my LMG. They made of metal. I'm not sure where it went, but there was rounds coming very near us. So I'm assuming it got hit. But it was, yeah. I just got depressed towards the end and just thought, don't want to be here. Like, what's like?
You didn't want to be in the army anymore. You just didn't want to be on Earth.
I don't know what I thought. I thought, I'm going to prison when I get home. I've got nothing to look forward to. Can't see my kids.
Is there any support in the army is there any opportunity right now for you in the army?
Back then,
that moment, was there any support, any opportunity for support?
Nothing. Our decompression after Afghanistan, which didn't happen in Iraq, so a few years later they brought in decompression. So our decompression was in Cyprus, and what that was we got flown out of Afghanistan, went to Cyprus, had some bloke talking nonsense to us that no one could be arsed listening to, and then it's get steaming, all the beer you can drink for 24 hours, and then you're on a plane, you're back in England. That's the decompression.
That was your way out.
That was the army's way of making you back into civilization.
Yeah.
Back into Civvy Street. Not Civvy Street, adjusted back. Give you loads of alcohol, you'll be right the next day.
So in a minute, we'll move forward to when you eventually come out of the army and the reasons that you came out of the army. But forgive me for pushing you on this question. I asked you if you'd taken more than one life.
Yeah.
You didn't answer. You don't have to answer.
No.
Do you want to tell us about that?
In Afghanistan, we took many lives. Some collateral damage. People can judge that the way they want, but we were at war. Obviously, I was part of a mortar team. We were firing hundreds of HE, high explosive bombs into Taliban areas. A lot of people lost their lives. But with me personally, with a rifle, that goes into a different field, which was private contracting. But the amount of people's lives that got took through us, my team, our team in Afghanistan, there's no number to it.
When you go to bed at night, do you ever think about that?
Again, I'm here. I've got a 7-year-old son to concentrate on, and when you say do I think about it, I think about everything. That's why I'm on this journey now, to raise awareness how it can come about. You know what I mean? I don't feel guilty.
You clearly care very deeply, and the caring that I see is actually not for you, it's for other people, but you don't necessarily know who those people are.
No, that's a fair comment. I mean, my son, I just want him to have a good life. My youngest son, Elliot, obviously my other 2 children, Justin and Matilda, they're grown up now. But I look at Elliot and I don't want him to experience anything near the childhood that I grew up with, or the adulthood. So I deeply care for him, and you know, we put to rest a very good friend on Monday, Andy Ross Bomber, who lost the fight of mental health. I was speaking to him a day before.
Former serviceman,
yeah. And unfortunately,
proved too much.
Yeah, it obviously proved too much, and you know, I've lost a lot of friends to suicide, and I very nearly done that myself. I tried to do it myself, but we'll come on to that anyway.
How do you feel about the politicians that send you out there?
I've got no time I don't give a fuck about politics. I've got no time for politics in this country. I don't blame them for sending me where I went when I was younger, because I wanted to be a soldier. However, would I go and fight for this country now? No, not a chance. They're lying, they're corrupt. They've already figured out the next war anyway. We can see it. We can all see it coming. When was the last time conscription was mentioned? And now we've got an election coming up, and they're talking about national service. It's like, why is that? The government are just they're so corrupt and lie in order to get their own personal gains and assets, and they don't care who gets in the way.
They don't care about us, right?
No, they don't care about us. They don't care that this bloke was a veteran and just killed himself. They don't care that someone who's 80 just passed away serving for their country. As long as they get the media they want from their mainstream media,
yeah,
they come out smelling their roses, don't they?
I think one of the reasons that I'm passionate about veterans and people like yourself that have offered your life for their country is my own grandfather was in the military. He was a disabled World War I veteran. He was 16 when he came home. Literally gave his right arm, lost his right arm in the First World War, and I watched him struggle all of his life. Couldn't really get a job. Nobody really wanted him.
Yeah.
Shitty pension. Lived in a 2-roomed apartment in London. Nobody really did anything for him. He had to sell his medals to make ends meet. Yeah. And I look over the years and look at you guys, and nothing's changed.
No, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You have to fight for what you want. You know, any changes that they make now within the forces, or any public service, I'd say, is not beneficial to you as a person, you as a human being. It's beneficial to the people that are making the decisions. Nothing's ever good. Nothing's ever, oh, let's make it better for them.
Yeah.
Never.
And we see enough former armed services out here on the streets in Brighton, sir. Let's move forward to how you left the army. Take us through that.
So, I unfortunately got myself into a bit of trouble, which...
In the army or out?
It was before I went to Afghanistan, and you know, it was lads being there. I cut the punch ups, okay? It happens. I got home from Afghanistan. Do you know what? I had a court appearance and I went to Afghanistan. Everyone knew I was going to Afghanistan. The police knew I went to Afghanistan. Obviously, the government knew I was going to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And while I was out in Afghanistan, I got a warrant out for my arrest for attempting to pervert the course of justice. So I had a warrant attached to me for not turning up to court because apparently I'd fled the country.
And you're in the army?
And I went to Afghanistan for the country. So when I got home, I was arrested for attempting to pervert the course of justice, and another charge put on me.
So how did you end up leaving the army?
So I pleaded guilty to a charge. I was given a suspended prison sentence. But at that point in time, I'd identified that I had PTSD. I had to go see some psychiatrists in the army, professional doctors, and they diagnosed me with complex PTSD. I went through some EMDR therapy, which didn't really help, but got fed a lot of tablets, a lot of sleeping tablets, you know, which didn't make me feel any better. And the day I was meant to get a medical discharge. That was the plan. That was the recommendation, that was the plan put in place. Medical discharge under the terms of PTSD. And I thought that was what was going on. I thought I was getting medically discharged for PTSD. The day that I went there to be discharged, medically discharged, I was marched into the office, and then this is not the regiment's fault, because I've seen the documentation, the regiment did fight my corner. However, a retired major from Glasgow decided, amongst all the advice from doctors, that the suspended prison sentence carried the same weight as a custodial sentence. So had I been behind the door and not had it suspended, it carried the same weight. So on that day, I was made homeless by the British Army and the government and given a dishonourable discharge, not a medical discharge. Made homeless.
So would that class as a dishonourable discharge?
Yeah, so thinking I was walking out with, everyone's entitled to a pension that's served, you know, but I had been identified, I actually identified, it took a lot for me to come out as having PTSD, because when I come out as having PTSD, I was segregated from everybody else, and it was like, nobody really wanted to associate with me, and it's only been recently.
Was you dangerous at this time?
Sorry?
Was you a dangerous person at this time?
I was, yeah. You know, anyone could be dangerous in the right scenario, can't they? But everyone found it funny that I was dangerous because they'd want me to go and get in trouble. They'd want me to go and punch people up because I didn't care until it affected them, i.e. the old saying, shit rolls downhill, and then you're an outcast. But, you know, a lot of people, a lot of my friends were basically not allowed to associate with me because I'd come out saying, look, I need help. I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was literally classed as, well, I was basically moved away from everybody, not helped. Put on leave, sick leave, do your therapy, like all your kit gets handed in. There was no.
You're done. You're finished.
Yeah, that's you. Like you know what I mean.
Thanks very much. See you later.
Well, that's how it felt back then, I'm sure it's different now, thanks to people like myself, not bigging it up, coming out and saying it's not a weakness, you know, you need the right support. But I went up there thinking I was getting medically discharged, you know, which on a discharge paper means honourable service,
Yeah.
A slight pension, and more help. But
How did that make you feel, being dishonourably discharged after all that you went through?
I tried to take my own life. Well, that sums it up, doesn't it? I was marched out the gates and made homeless overnight. So that was that. My military career was over. I was a convict because I had a suspended prison sentence to my name and a dishonourable discharge. That was me. Like, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I literally got marched out the gates.
So you're sitting here as an ordinary civilian, having never served in the armed forces, and looking at our armed forces from the outside, we see you guys as our heroes.
Yeah, thank you.
That's how we see you. And we look up to you. You know, my dad brought me up to believe that if the shit ever hits the fan, you guys have got our backs. You are our safety net. And it's given me a lump in my throat to think how you've been treated by your own country. So bearing in mind the state of your mind at this particular time, where did that journey then lead you to? What route did your life take?
Very downward spiral from there for a couple of years. I drank a lot, did a lot of things I shouldn't have done, got involved in things I shouldn't have got involved in, which essentially at one point, I actually took twice, within a few years, I took major overdoses because I felt I had nowhere to go, nothing to do, no sense of belonging.
Nothing left.
Nothing left. That was it. And so, and I just wanted to I took a major overdose, and that was that. It didn't work. Obviously, I'm sat here now. It's affected my health today. Affected my stomach. But I thought I had nothing left. But something kept me going. Whether it was granddad or God or what, I don't know.
Bit of both, maybe.
Maybe a bit of both, yeah. Something kept me going, and I decided, no, I'm not letting the system beat me. So after attempting to commit suicide and getting over that, I obviously got myself, tried to get myself straightened out on the narrow. No one's ever straight on the narrow. No one's perfect, you know what I mean? But I found a solicitor that was willing to take on the Ministry of Defence. Took a long time, but thankfully I beat it, and they turned it over a couple of years. They turned over a dishonourable discharge.
Brilliant.
To an honourable discharge, medical discharge with a military war pension. I can't live on it.
Yeah.
But it was something. But the most important thing was the recognition that I got on the discharge papers saying honourable discharge.
Yeah.
Not.
That's what matters to you.
That's what
right?
matters to me.
Of course.
And I can hold my head up high with that now. And I've prompted other friends who have been discharged for other reasons, whether that be substance abuse or whatever, because everyone deals with things in their own way, to fight it.
And after this has come, you then went on to do private contracting.
Yeah,
right?
so I was on GMTV, which is on YouTube. I was on GMTV. I did Talking to Minds charity came to me, so I went on GMTV, Radio 4 Kill Factor, etc. Did some more therapy, which seemed to help a bit more. I'm not sure what therapy it was. It was a long time ago, but I then decided I belong doing that job. That's what I'm good at, but not as an angry man, just as a professional man.
Yeah.
So I went back contracting for the Ministry of Defence in England and abroad. I then went on to do anti-piracy, Somalian-based piracy in the Red Sea and around Somalia, Yemen.
And this is all in the second book that you've got coming out?
My first book ends, obviously I won't give it all away, But the second book is as hard hitting, if not harder hitting, because it's all about being made homeless, trying to attempt to take my own life. Yeah, but then the journey of, you can turn it around, so you can be at rock bottom, but you can also then come out the other end. Because obviously I then did some courses, went done the anti-piracy, got a level 4 diploma in intelligence and surveillance, went and done a bit of that in Yemen, then essentially went back to Iraq with the Americans, went on various projects in Iraq on the ground.
So unfortunately, really, today we've only just touched the sides, and this is where I want to come in. I'm sure everyone that has watched this today has been utterly enthralled with the story, with your strength as well, and what you've been through. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do this with you today is to support you as a person, as a human being, because everyone that I know that knows you tells me that you are one hell of a guy.
Thank you.
And I think that it's payback time. That's my belief. It's time that the public helped pay you back for what you've given to us and to your country. So one of the ideas I came up with is that you've brought along some books today. I think you got 27?
Yeah, I got 27.
27. And both Ben and I are going to sign those books. And they normally sell at $12.99, is it?
Yeah, on Amazon they're $12.99.
$12.99. If you want to buy them, I'm going to put a link after this video. Ben and I are going to discuss how we can, because Amazon take a big chunk of what they sell for, etc. And we're trying to get Ben on a new career. He's going to start doing YouTube. He's going to do his own channel. We're going to help him with that. But right now, we're going to sign these books, and I'm going to ask you, not Ben. Ben doesn't even know I'm going to say this. I'm going to ask you to buy these books for 20 quid each, which is £8 more than what you can buy them from Amazon, but they won't be signed by Ben, and I'll spoil it by signing it as well. But you'll get an original signed copy of the book. It helps Ben raise the money to get the second book into publication, because it's very expensive, right?
Yeah, literally I took 2 years off work. I quit my job, my career out in Iraq, in order to follow this journey, which has taken me a long time, but it's starting. So this first book, When War Follows You Home, obviously like you said, Paul, Amazon do take a massive chunk. I can provide these as myself through Close Publishing too. Obviously I've got a PayPal account, I can send them to people. Alternatively, there's, you've got the Amazon link, you can get them off Amazon. But the only funds that I get that get raised for this first book at the moment is just going towards the second book.
The second book.
And then once the second book is released, hopefully I'll raise enough funds to release the second book, get it professionally published, like the first one. Once that's done, every book from the second book, which I'm planning on calling Only Dead See the End of War, which will obviously follow When War Follows You Home, because I think that's quite a strong title when it's true.
They both are very strong titles.
Thank you. And what I'll be doing then is, once the second book is out in the public eye, I'll be donating any book sale going through myself. Hopefully my website will be up by then, the YouTube page and everything like that. From the second book, I'll be donating money to charity off every sale made through myself. I can't through Amazon, obviously, because they take a hell of a chunk of it.
Yeah.
But any book, once it's out from the second one through myself, once I've raised enough funds to get it out, I'll be donating.
We're going to find a way of people being able to do that. I'm going to put some for sale up on the website, uniteuk.org. Every penny will go directly to Ben and help fund his second book. If you haven't bought the first one, please do so. It's an amazing read. Because, look, we've only just touched the sides today, but I wanted you to meet Ben, to hear some of his story, to know what he's been through, what he's given, and how he's been treated. And I think the public are going to warm to this story. I really do.
Well, thank you. All I want to do is thank you, Paul, and all I'm trying to do now is just use my fortunate or unfortunate experiences in life in order to make others better. That's right. I think I speak for everyone when I say that, look, I haven't known you for a long time, so I don't know how bad you've been.
but you seem to be in a relatively good place. Please God, it gets an even better place, and we'll revisit this again sometime in the future as well.
Yeah.
But thank you for your service,
thank
and
you, Paul.
thank you for coming down.
No problem. Thank you very much.